I remember the sound, not the roar of the crowd or the squeak of sneakers on hardwood. I remember the pop, that sickening, wet pop that came from inside my own knee, followed by a silence so loud it drowned out everything else in the arena. One moment I was driving baseline against the Lakers, Game 4 of the Western Conference semifinals, trying to prove I belonged on that court with the stars. The next moment I was on the floor, clutching my leg, knowing with absolute certainty that something fundamental had just broken inside me. The Phoenix Suns medical staff surrounded me within seconds. I saw Coach Rivera's face above me, his usual stern expression cracked with concern. I saw JT, my best friend and starting point guard, kneeling beside me with his hand on my shoulder, saying something I couldn't hear through the ringing in my ears. But I didn't see Vanessa. My wife of 3 years wasn't in her usual seat behind the bench. She hadn't been to a game in 2 months, actually. Said the stress of watching me play made her anxious. Said she couldn't handle seeing me fail to get meaningful minutes. Said a lot of things that I chose not to hear because I was too busy chasing a dream she never believed in. They carried me off on a stretcher. The crowd gave me a standing ovation, which felt more like a funeral than a celebration. 26 years old, finally getting rotation minutes in the playoffs after 4 years bouncing between the G League and the end of NBA benches, and my knee decides to explode on national television. The ambulance ride to Phoenix Medical Center was a blur of pain and panic. Not just physical pain, though that was intense enough to make me bite through my own lip. It was the terror of knowing that everything I'd worked for since I was 8 years old, shooting on a crooked hoop behind my mom's laundromat in San Francisco's Chinatown, might be over. I called Vanessa from the ambulance. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. I called again from the emergency room. Voicemail. By the time they wheeled me into the MRI machine at midnight, I'd called 7 times. She finally answered on the 8th. Her voice was cold, distant, like she was talking to a telemarketer. "Hey, I'm at the hospital. I tore something in my knee. They're saying it might be my ACL. Can you come?" There was a pause. In that pause, I heard music in the background. Laughter. The clink of glasses. "Marcus, I'm out with friends. I can't just drop everything. I'm in the hospital, Vanessa. I'm having surgery in the morning." Another pause. Longer this time. "You're always having some crisis, some injury, some setback. I can't keep doing this." The MRI machine started humming, drowning out my response. The technician told me I had to hang up. I told Vanessa I loved her. She didn't say it back, just told me to text her when I knew more and ended the call. That should have been my first clue. But when you love someone, really love them, you make excuses. You tell yourself they're stressed. They're dealing with their own stuff. They'll come around. I was wrong. The MRI confirmed the worst. Complete ACL tear, partial MCL tear, bone bruising. Dr. Patel, the team's orthopedic surgeon, explained it to me at 3 a.m. with the kind of gentle honesty that doctors reserve for delivering terrible news. 6 to 9 months recovery, minimum. Maybe longer given the extent of the damage. There were no guarantees I'd come back at the same level. No guarantees I'd come back at all. I was on a 1-year minimum contract with the Suns. $250,000 before taxes and agent fees. Barely enough to cover rent on our condo in Scottsdale, Vanessa's spending habits, and sending money back to my mom in San Francisco. The injury guaranteed clause would cover my salary for the rest of the season, but after that, I'd be a free agent with a torn ACL. Not exactly a hot commodity in the NBA marketplace. Coach Rivera visited me before the surgery. He sat in the uncomfortable plastic chair beside my bed, still wearing his suit from the game, his tie loosened and his eyes tired. "You're going to come back from this, Chen. I've seen you work. I know what you're made of." I wanted to believe him, but all I could think about was Vanessa's voice on the phone. Cold, detached, already gone in every way that mattered. Surgery was scheduled for 8 a.m. They pumped me full of pre-op medications that made everything soft and fuzzy around the edges. As they wheeled me toward the operating room, I saw JT standing in the hallway in his son's warm-ups. He'd come straight from the team hotel. "We got you, bro. You're family. We take care of family." Family. That word hit different when your actual wife couldn't be bothered to show up. The anesthesiologist told me to count backward from 10. I made it to 7 before everything went black. I woke up in recovery to the sound of my phone buzzing on the table beside me. For a confused, groggy moment, I thought it might be Vanessa calling to check on me, to apologize, to tell me she was on her way. It was my agent, David Chen. No relation, despite sharing a last name. He sounded excited, which seemed wildly inappropriate given the circumstances. "Marcus, how are you feeling? How'd the surgery go? I'm alive. Knee hurts like hell." They said it went well. Good. That's good. Listen, I need to tell you something. The Suns want to extend your contract. I thought I was still high on anesthesia, that I was hallucinating. What? They're offering you a 3-year extension. 10 million total, 3 million guaranteed regardless of injury. They believe in you, Marcus. They've believed in you all along. I couldn't speak, couldn't process what I was hearing. Coach Rivera pushed for this personally. He told management you're the kind of player they want to build with, the kind of person they want representing the organization. The signing was supposed to happen today, but given the surgery, we'll finalize everything in a few days once you're more recovered. I'm sending over the preliminary paperwork now. This is it, Marcus. You made it. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. $10 million, 3 million guaranteed. Even with the injury, even with the uncertainty, the Suns were investing in me, betting on me when everyone else, including my own wife, had written me off. I tried calling Vanessa. I wanted to tell her, wanted to share this moment with the woman I'd married, the woman who'd been beside me, or so I thought, through the struggle. Voicemail. I texted her instead. Big news. Call me when you can. I love you. She responded 4 hours later. Can't talk now. Busy. That was it. 3 words. No concern about my surgery, no questions about my recovery. Just busy. My mom called at noon. She'd watched the game on her ancient television in the back room of the laundromat, like she watched every game I played, even though she had to wake up at 5 a.m. to open the shop. My baby. My strong boy. You okay? Her English was broken, mixed with Cantonese, but it was the most beautiful sound in the world. She cried on the phone, told me she'd lit incense at the temple and prayed to the ancestors for my healing. Told me she was proud of me no matter what happened. I almost told her about the contract, but something stopped me. Some instinct that said to wait, to keep it quiet until the papers were signed and the money was real. Mama, I'm going to be okay. I promise. You always okay. You like your father. Strong heart. Never give up. My father had died when I was 12. Heart attack at his restaurant job. Worked himself to death trying to provide for us. I barely remembered him except as a tired figure coming home late at night smelling like grease and soy sauce. I love you, Mama. I love you more. You rest now. Heal. Come back strong. After she hung up, I felt more alone than I ever had in my life. Here I was, lying in a hospital bed, having just secured the biggest contract of my life, and the person I most wanted to celebrate with couldn't even be bothered to visit. The nurse came in to check my vitals. She was kind, probably in her 50s, with warm eyes and a gentle touch. Your wife coming to see you today, honey? I don't know. I hope so. She patted my hand and smiled, but I could see the pity in her eyes. Nurses see everything. They know the difference between a man who's loved and a man who's alone. Vanessa finally showed up at 6 p.m., 8 hours after my surgery. She walked in wearing designer workout clothes, her hair perfect, her makeup flawless. She looked like she'd just come from a photo shoot, not from rushing to be with her injured husband. Hey, she said, staying near the door. How are you feeling? I've been better. Been trying to reach you all day. I told you I was busy. I can't just drop everything every time something happens with your basketball stuff. My basketball stuff. That's what she called my career, my dream, my life's work, just stuff. I had surgery, Vanessa. This is serious. She sighed and sat down in the chair by the window, as far from my bed as she could get while still technically being in the room. Look, Marcus, we need to talk. Those 4 words. The 4 words that end everything. I've been thinking a lot. About us. About our future. And I don't think this is working anymore. The pain medication must have dulled my reactions because I just stared at her. Didn't cry. Didn't yell. Just stared. You're ending our marriage while I'm in a hospital bed? Don't be dramatic. I'm just being honest. This injury is probably going to end your career. You'll be out of the league by next season. Then what? We go back to San Francisco and live above your mom's laundromat? I can't do that, Marcus. I can't go back to struggling. We're not struggling. We have a good life, on a minimum contract that's about to expire. Face it, you're never going to be a star. You're never going to be what I need you to be. And what do you need me to be? Successful, stable, someone I can count on, someone who can give me the life I deserve. She stood up and walked toward the door. I wanted to tell her about the contract, wanted to throw those $10 million in her face and watch her realize what she was walking away from. But pride and pain kept my mouth shut. I've met someone, she continued. Derek, my personal trainer. He owns 3 gyms across Phoenix. He's stable. He's successful. He wants to take care of me the way you never could. Derek, I knew exactly who she meant. The pretty boy with the perfect teeth and the sports cars who charged $200 an hour to count reps. I'd paid for those training sessions. Paid for him to steal my wife. So that's it? 3 years of marriage and you're just done? Marcus, I was done a long time ago. I just didn't know how to tell you. This injury is just making me face reality. I'm filing for divorce. My lawyer will send you the papers. She left, just like that. Walked out of my hospital room without looking back, her designer sneakers squeaking on the linoleum floor, leaving me alone with my shattered knee and my shattered heart. I didn't cry. The tears wouldn't come. I just lay there in the dark, listening to the beep of the heart monitor, feeling something inside me die that had nothing to do with my ACL. JT found me like that 2 hours later. He took one look at my face and knew. She left you, didn't she? I nodded. While you're laid up in a hospital bed? Man, that's cold. That's really cold. He pulled the chair close and sat down, his 6'6" frame folded awkwardly in the small seat. You know what, though? You're better off. I never liked her anyway. None of the guys did. She always acted like she was too good for us. Too good for you. Like she was doing you a favor by being with you. That hurt worse than the surgery. Knowing that everyone saw it except me. Knowing that I'd been blind to what was right in front of me. I signed a contract extension today. $10 million over 3 years. JT's eyes went wide. Wait, what? Today? The day of your surgery? Coach pushed it through before the injury. Said the team believed in me. Said they wanted to keep me regardless. And you didn't tell Vanessa? I tried. She wouldn't answer her calls. Then when she finally showed up, she was too busy telling me about her new boyfriend to listen. JT shook his head slowly. Bro, she left you thinking you were broke. Thinking you were washed up. And now she's going to find out you're worth $10 million. That's some karma right there. I don't want revenge. I just want to understand how I got it so wrong. You didn't get it wrong. She did. You loved her. Really loved her. That's not wrong. What's wrong is she never loved you back. She loved what she thought you could give her. And when she thought that was gone, she was gone too. We sat in silence for a while. Then JT pulled out his phone and showed me something. It was an Instagram post from earlier that day. Vanessa and Derek at some trendy brunch spot in Scottsdale, toasting with mimosas, her hand on his chest, his arm around her waist. The caption read, New beginnings with my love, posted at 11 a.m., 3 hours after my surgery. I felt something shift inside me, something hard and cold replacing the soft, trusting place where my love for her used to live. I'm going to come back from this, I said quietly. I'm going to come back stronger than I ever was. And I'm going to make sure she knows exactly what she walked away from. JT smiled. There's my guy. There's the fighter I know. Now get some rest. We got work to do once that knee heals. Coach wants you back at full strength by training camp. We got a championship to win. After he left, I lay in the dark and made myself a promise. This injury wasn't going to end me. This betrayal wasn't going to break me. I was going to take all this pain, all this anger, all this hurt, and I was going to use it. Vanessa thought she was leaving a failure, a broken player with no future. She had no idea who I really was, no idea what I was capable of becoming, but she was about to find out. My phone buzzed one more time before I fell asleep. A text from my agent. Contract is finalized. Papers are signed. Congratulations, Marcus. You're officially a $10 million man. The press release goes out tomorrow morning. Get ready for your life to change. I closed my eyes and felt something like peace settle over me. Not happiness, not yet, but peace. The peace of knowing that I'd been valued when I felt most worthless, that someone had seen something in me that even my own wife had missed. Tomorrow the world would know. Tomorrow Vanessa would know. And tomorrow, lying in this hospital bed with a torn ACL and a broken heart, my real journey would begin. Not the journey back to basketball. That would come. This was the journey back to myself. Back to the kid who'd learned to shoot on a crooked hoop behind a laundromat. Back to the son of immigrants who'd been raised to work hard and never give up. Back to the man I'd lost somewhere along the way while trying to please a woman who was never going to be pleased. The fall had broken more than my knee. It had broken the illusion that love alone was enough, that sacrifice would be rewarded, that loyalty mattered to everyone the way it mattered to me. But from broken things, new things grow. Stronger things, things that can't be broken the same way twice. I fell asleep thinking about that. About the person I was going to become, about the player I was going to be when I finally returned to that court. Vanessa had walked away thinking she was leaving behind a broken man. She'd left behind something much more dangerous. A man with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The news broke at 9 a.m. the next morning, exactly as my agent had promised. I woke up to my phone exploding with notifications, texts, calls, social media mentions, all flooding in at once. I grabbed the phone with my good hand, my injured leg elevated and throbbing despite the painkillers, and saw JT's message at the top. Bro, check ESPN, you're trending. I pulled up the Sports Network's app and there it was, right on the front page. Suns extend. Marcus Chen, 10 deal for rising guard despite ACL injury. Below the headline was a photo of me from last week's game, mid-layup, completely unaware that my life was about to change in every possible way. The article detailed the contract, praised Coach Rivera's faith in me, analyzed my stats and potential, and included quotes from the team's general manager about building around character guys who embodied the Suns' culture. It mentioned the injury, of course, but framed it as a temporary setback for a player with a bright future. $10 million. 3 years. Financial security for me and my mom for the first time in our lives. And Vanessa had walked away 12 hours before the world found out. My phone rang. It was my mom, crying so hard she could barely speak. Marcus, I see the news. I see what they pay you. My boy, my baby, you did it. Your father would be so proud. I'm proud too, Mama. This is for us, for everything you sacrificed. No, this is for you. You worked so hard, so many years. Now everyone see what I always know. You special. You deserve this. We stayed on the phone for 20 minutes, her switching between English and Cantonese, me trying not to cry because my knee hurt too much and crying would make it worse. She told me she'd already called all her friends at the temple, that she'd lit extra incense, that she was going to frame the ESPN article and hang it in the laundromat. After we hung up, I scrolled through the messages, teammates congratulating me, former coaches from high school and college reaching out, friends I hadn't heard from in years suddenly remembering we were close, and then I saw it. A message from a number I didn't recognize. Congratulations, Marcus. You deserve everything good that comes your way. Really happy for you. It was signed with just a name, Sarah. I stared at it for a moment, trying to place who Sarah was when my phone rang again. Coach Rivera this time. Chen, how's the knee? Hurts like hell, coach, but I'll live. Good, because we need you back. Listen, I know you're dealing with a lot right now. The injury, the contract, probably getting a million calls. But I want you to know something. This extension wasn't charity, wasn't us feeling sorry for you. We believe in you. I believe in you. You've got something most guys in this league don't have. Heart, work ethic, the willingness to sacrifice for the team. That's worth more than natural talent. Thank you, coach. That means everything. One more thing. I heard about your wife. About what happened yesterday. I froze. How did he know already? JT told me this morning. Listen, I've been in this league for 30 years as a player and coach. I've seen guys lose everything because of women who didn't understand what this life requires. I've also seen guys become great because they had the right person beside them. Sometimes the wrong person leaving is the best thing that can happen. Don't let this break you. Let it build you. I will, coach. I promise. Good. Now focus on healing. We'll talk rehab protocol next week. And Marcus, don't read the comments on social media. Never ends well. He hung up before I could respond. Too late. I was already scrolling through Twitter. The reaction to the contract news was mostly positive. Fans praising the Suns for loyalty. Analysts debating whether $10 million was too much for a backup guard with one good playoff run. The usual noise that comes with any NBA transaction. But then I started seeing other tweets. Screenshots from Vanessa's Instagram. People had noticed. People always notice. Wait, isn't Marcus Chen the guy whose wife just posted about her new boyfriend yesterday? His wife really left him the day of his ACL surgery? Cold-blooded. Imagine leaving your man when he's at his lowest only to find out the next day he just signed a $10 million contract. The karma. Someone had posted a side-by-side comparison. On the left, Vanessa's Instagram story from yesterday morning, her and Derek at brunch, captioned, "New beginnings with my love." On the right, the ESPN headline about my contract. The timeline was damning, undeniable. The story was going viral. Not just sports fans, but relationship advice accounts, drama pages, commentary channels. Everyone had an opinion about the woman who left her NBA player husband at the hospital, only to discover he'd just signed a massive contract. I should have felt vindicated. Should have felt satisfied that the world was seeing her for who she really was. Instead, I just felt empty, exposed. My private pain turned into public entertainment. My phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Marcus Chen? Yeah, who's this? Sarah Mitchell, sports reporter with The Athletic. I sent you a text earlier. I wanted to reach out personally to congratulate you on the contract and see if you'd be interested in doing an interview once you're feeling up to it. Her voice was professional, but warm. Not the aggressive, gotcha tone I'd expected from a journalist. I don't know if now is the best time. I understand completely. And just so you know, I'm not calling to ask about your personal life. I don't do tabloid journalism. I'm interested in your basketball story. The journey. 4 years grinding in the G League, finally getting your shot, getting injured at the worst possible moment, and the team still believing in you enough to extend your contract. That's a real story. That's the story I want to tell. I appreciated that. Appreciated her drawing that line. Can I think about it? Of course. Take all the time you need. I'll send you my contact info. If you decide you want to talk, even just off the record, I'm here. And Marcus, don't let the noise get to you. People love drama, but they forget fast. What they'll remember is how you come back from this injury. That's the story that matters. After she hung up, I looked up her profile. Sarah Mitchell. 32 years old, Harvard grad, former college basketball player herself before a knee injury ended her career. She'd written some powerful long-form pieces about athletes dealing with mental health, career-ending injuries, and life after sports. Real journalism, not clickbait. I saved her number. The rest of the morning was chaos. My agent called to discuss endorsement opportunities. The Suns' PR team reached out to coordinate messaging around the contract. My physical therapist from the team scheduled our first post-op session for later in the week. And through it all, nothing from Vanessa. Not a text, not a call, not even a reaction to the social media storm that was brewing around her. Until noon. That's when she finally called. I almost didn't answer. Almost let it go to voicemail like she'd done to me so many times, but curiosity won out. Marcus, we need to talk. Her voice was different now. Urgent. Almost panicked. Do we? Don't be like that. I just saw the news. About the contract. Congratulations. You saw it when? Don't play dumb. You knew about this yesterday, didn't you? When I came to the hospital. You knew and you didn't tell me. You were too busy telling me about Derek to listen to anything I had to say. She made a frustrated sound. This changes things. We need to talk about our divorce. About the settlement. I'm entitled to half of everything we earned during our marriage. The contract was signed before you left. Technically still during our marriage. Exactly. Which means I have rights to it. My lawyer says, your lawyer can talk to my lawyer. I'm recovering from surgery, Vanessa. I don't have the energy for this right now. You're being unreasonable. I supported you for 3 years. Went to your games. Dealt with your crazy schedule. I deserve to be compensated for that. Supported me? You complained about every game you attended. You told me I was wasting my time. You left me in a hospital bed to be with another man. I was unhappy, Marcus. I was struggling. You were never there emotionally, always focused on basketball. I felt alone. So the solution was to cheat on me with your personal trainer? The trainer I paid for, by the way. Silence. Then, I didn't cheat. Derek and I didn't start anything until I'd already made the decision to leave. You posted a photo with him the morning of my surgery. You'd already moved on before you even told me it was over. More silence. Look, I don't want to fight. I just think we should talk about this like adults. Maybe we can work something out. Maybe we don't have to involve lawyers at all. And there it was. The real reason for the call. She wanted to negotiate directly. Wanted to bypass legal representation and get me to agree to something while I was vulnerable and medicated. I'm gonna hang up now, Vanessa. If you want to discuss divorce terms, have your lawyer contact mine. David Chen at Apex Sports Management. Marcus, wait. Take care of yourself. I ended the call and immediately blocked her number. Should have done that yesterday. Should have done it months ago, probably. JT. Showed up an hour later with lunch from my favorite Thai place in downtown Phoenix. He wheeled in a whole setup, bags of food balanced on my wheelchair, looking like he was catering a party. Figured you'd be too lazy to order food for yourself. Plus, I wanted to check on you. You're trending on Twitter, bro. Everyone's talking about your contract and your ex. Yeah, I noticed. It's not fun being tabloid fodder. He started unpacking containers of pad thai, spring rolls, and green curry. Man, you should see what people are saying about Vanessa. They're roasting her. There's literal memes. Someone made a video compilation of gold digger moments in sports history and put her at the top. That doesn't make me feel better. That's still my life being turned into entertainment. I feel you. But real talk? She did this to herself. She posted that photo yesterday morning knowing you were in surgery. She made your pain public. Now she's dealing with the consequences. He was right, but it still felt wrong. I'd loved Vanessa, really loved her. Seeing her get torn apart online, even if she deserved criticism, didn't bring me any joy. My phone buzzed with another call, this one from my agent. Marcus, we need to talk about PR strategy. This story is getting bigger. TMZ is calling. ESPN wants a comment. We need to control the narrative before it controls you. I don't want to comment. I just want to heal and focus on basketball. I respect that. But silence can be interpreted as guilt or shame. You didn't do anything wrong here. You were loyal. You worked hard. You got injured and your wife left you. Then you got rewarded for your loyalty by an organization that values you. That's a good story, Marcus. We should tell it. Through Sarah Mitchell, the athletic reporter. She reached out this morning. If I'm going to talk to anyone, it'll be her. She promised this wouldn't be about drama. David was quiet for a moment. Sarah Mitchell is solid, professional, fair. If you're going to do an interview, she's a good choice. Want me to set it up? Not yet. Let me get through the first week of recovery, then we'll talk. Smart. Take your time. But Marcus, don't let this define you. The injury, the divorce, the contract, they're all part of your story. But they're not the whole story. You get to write the rest. After David hung up, I sat with JT and ate Thai food and tried to feel normal. Tried to ignore the fact that my phone was still buzzing with notifications every few seconds. Tried to pretend that my life hadn't become a spectator sport for millions of strangers. So what now? JT asked, dipping a spring roll in peanut sauce. You just going to hide in this hospital room forever? I'm here for 2 more days. Then I go home to start outpatient therapy. You mean the condo you shared with Vanessa? That home. I hadn't thought about that. About going back to that space filled with memories of a relationship that no longer existed. About sleeping in a bed we'd shared. About seeing her things still scattered around because she'd walked out so quickly. Maybe I'll stay with you for a while. Nah, man. You need your own space, but I'll help you pack up her stuff. We'll do it tomorrow. Get it boxed up and out before you go home. Fresh start. I appreciated that more than I could say. We spent the rest of the afternoon watching game film on JT's iPad. Suns highlights from the season, games I'd played in, moments where I'd contributed. He kept pausing to point out things I'd done well, habits I should maintain once I came back. You see that right there? That's championship-level defense. That's what coach saw. That's why they extended you. Not because they felt sorry for you, because you earned it. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe that the contract was about merit and not charity, that I'd proven something before the injury took me down. But part of me couldn't shake the fear that I'd never be the same, that the knee wouldn't heal right, that I'd come back slower, weaker, less than what I'd been. JT must have seen it on my face because he stopped the video and looked at me directly. You're going to come back better than before. You know how I know? Because you're hungry now. Before you were playing to prove you belonged. Now you're playing with something to prove. That's different. That's dangerous. That's unstoppable. I hope you're right. I'm always right. Ask my wife. We both laughed at that. JT's wife, Maya, kept him humble despite his success. She was a pediatric nurse, grounded and real, the opposite of everything Vanessa had become. How'd you know Maya was the one? I asked quietly. He thought about it for a moment. Because she loved me when I was nobody. When I was a second-round pick making minimum salary, living in a studio apartment, wondering if I'd last a month in the league. She was there. Not for what I might become, for who I was. That's how you know. When someone loves you at your lowest, that's real. Everything else is just performance. Vanessa never loved me at my lowest. She tolerated me, waiting for me to become something bigger. And when it looked like that wouldn't happen, she left. That night, alone in the hospital room, I pulled up Vanessa's Instagram. I shouldn't have. Coach was right about not reading social media, but I couldn't help myself. She deleted the post about Derek, scrubbed any mention of him from her profile, but people had screenshots. The internet never forgets. Her most recent post from an hour ago was a professional photo of her in workout clothes with a long caption about self-care and personal growth. No mention of me. No mention of the divorce. Just carefully curated inspiration quotes and hashtags. The comments were brutal. Gold digger. She left her husband in the hospital, LOL. Hope Derek's money is worth it since you missed out on 10 minors. Someone defend her, please. I want to laugh. I closed the app and put my phone face down on the table. This wasn't healthy, wasn't productive. I needed to let go. Needed to accept that the woman I'd married didn't exist. Maybe she never had. Maybe I'd loved an illusion. A projection of who I wanted her to be instead of who she really was. That hurt worse than the betrayal itself, realizing that I'd wasted 3 years of my life on someone who'd never really seen me. The next morning, I was discharged. JT and Maya picked me up in their SUV, helping me navigate the wheelchair and crutches, packing up the flowers and cards that had arrived from teammates and fans. The physical therapist had given me strict instructions: ice and elevation, range of motion exercises, no weight bearing on the injured leg for at least 6 weeks, slow, patient, disciplined recovery. We drove to my condo in Scottsdale, and I felt my stomach tighten as we pulled into the parking garage. This place had been home. Now it felt like a crime scene, the place where my marriage died. JT and Maya helped me inside. Vanessa's presence was everywhere. Her designer handbags on the entryway table, her photos on the walls, her expensive skincare products in the bathroom. The place still smelled like her perfume. "All right," Maya said, rolling up her sleeves. "Where do you want her stuff?" "Garage. I'll have it shipped to her later." Maya and JT worked like a moving crew. Clothes, shoes, jewelry, makeup, all of it boxed up and hauled out within 2 hours. They stripped the bed and put on fresh sheets, took down the photos, cleared out her side of the closet. By the time they finished, the condo looked different. Emptier, but cleaner somehow, like a weight had been lifted. "You good?" JT asked as they prepared to leave. "Getting there. We'll check on you tomorrow. Call if you need anything. And Marcus, stop looking at social media. None of that matters. What matters is what you do next." After they left, I sat on the couch with my leg elevated and looked around the space. My space now, not ours. Mine. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. For a moment, I thought it might be Vanessa texting from a different phone, but it was Sarah Mitchell, the reporter. No pressure at all, but the offer stands if you want to tell your story your way. Sometimes taking control of the narrative helps with the healing. Think about it. I stared at her message for a long time. Maybe she was right. Maybe instead of letting everyone else define this moment, I should define it myself. I texted back, "Let's talk, but not about Vanessa. About basketball, about the journey, about what comes next." She responded immediately, "That's exactly the story I want to tell. I'll call you tomorrow to set something up. Get some rest, Marcus. The hard part is just beginning." She was right about that. The surgery was over. The contract was signed. Vanessa was gone. Now came the real work. The physical therapy, the emotional recovery, the long, painful climb back to who I used to be. Or maybe, if I was lucky, the climb toward becoming someone better, someone stronger, someone who'd learned that love without respect is worthless, that loyalty has to go both ways, that the only person you can truly count on is yourself. I fell asleep that night thinking about my mom, about the sacrifices she'd made, about the strength she'd shown raising me alone after my father died, about the faith she'd always had in me, even when I didn't have faith in myself. That was real love. Unconditional, unshakable, not based on what I could provide or how I performed. That was the kind of love I deserved, the kind I'd never settle for less than again. Vanessa thought she'd walked away from a broken man. She thought she'd traded up, thought Derek's 3 gyms and his sports cars were worth more than my dedication and heart. She was about to learn different. The whole world was about to learn different, because I wasn't broken. I was just beginning. And when I came back to that court, healthy and whole and better than ever, she'd see what she gave up. They'd all see. But by then, it wouldn't matter, because I wouldn't be playing for her anymore. Wouldn't be trying to prove anything to someone who never believed in me in the first place. I'd be playing for me, for my mom, for Coach Rivera and JT, and everyone who'd stood by me when things got dark. I'd be playing for the kid shooting hoops behind a laundromat in Chinatown, dreaming of a future that seemed impossible. That kid just got 10 million reasons to believe his dreams were real. And nobody, not Vanessa, not Derek, not the doubters and critics and internet trolls, was going to take that away from him. The exposure hurt. The public spectacle of my private pain was humiliating. But fire that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I'd been through fire before. This was just one more test, one more obstacle to overcome, one more reason to prove that Marcus Chen wasn't done yet. Not even close. Week 1 of physical therapy felt like torture disguised as medicine. The Suns training facility had a state-of-the-art rehab center on the 2nd floor, away from the main practice courts. That's where I spent 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, working with Marcus Thompson, the team's head physical therapist. Everyone called him MT, and within the first session I understood why he had a 98% success rate getting players back from major injuries. He was relentless. Okay, Chen, we're going to start with some basic range of motion. I need you to bend the knee as far as you can without pain. I barely got it to 30 degrees before the discomfort stopped me. That's it? That's all you got? My knee was reconstructed 5 days ago. Yeah, that's all I got. He smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who enjoyed pushing people past their limits. You want to be back by training camp? That's 8 months away. You want to be starting by opening night? We need to be at 90 degrees within 3 weeks. So that 30 degrees you just gave me? That's not going to cut it. Over the next hour, he put me through exercises that made my eyes water. Ankle pumps, quad sets, straight leg raises, each one designed to wake up muscles that had gone dormant since the surgery. Each one reminding me how much I'd lost in just a few days. By the time we finished, I was drenched in sweat and my leg was trembling. Good work today. Tomorrow we'll do it again. And the day after that. And every day until you can walk without crutches. Then we'll start the real work. If this wasn't the real work, I was terrified to find out what was. JT picked me up from the facility, finding me in the parking lot struggling to load my crutches into my car. How was day one? Humbling. Good. Humble is how you stay hungry. We grabbed dinner at a quiet spot in downtown Phoenix, away from the usual places where fans and media might recognize us. I was still learning to navigate the new reality of being someone people talked about. The guy whose wife left him for the personal trainer. The guy who signed a $10 million contract with a torn ACL. The guy whose private life became public entertainment. The interview with Sarah Mitchell was scheduled for tomorrow. I'd spent the last 2 days thinking about what I wanted to say, how to frame this chapter of my life without sounding bitter or broken, how to be honest without being cruel. You ready for tomorrow? JT asked, cutting into his steak. I don't know. I've never done anything like this before. What if I say something stupid? What if it makes everything worse? Sarah's good people. Maya and I read her stuff. She's not trying to make you look bad. She's trying to tell your story. There's a difference. I hope you're right. Look, here's what you do. You talk about basketball, about the work, about what this injury means for your career, and how you're going to overcome it. You talk about coach believing in you, about the organization investing in you. That's the story. The other stuff, the divorce drama, that's just noise. Don't feed the noise. What if she asks about Vanessa? Then you take the high road. You say you wish her well. You say you're focused on recovery and moving forward. You don't have to lie, but you don't have to drag her either. The facts speak for themselves. He was right. I didn't need to attack Vanessa. The timeline of events told the whole story. She'd left me thinking I was finished, and the next day the world found out I wasn't. That was karma enough. That night I couldn't sleep. My knee throbbed despite the medication, and my mind wouldn't stop racing. I kept replaying moments from my marriage, looking for signs I'd missed. Red flags I'd ignored because I was too in love, or too busy, or too desperate to believe I'd found someone who accepted me for who I was. The truth was simpler and sadder. Vanessa had never accepted me. She'd accepted the potential, the possibility that I might become someone worth being with. And when that possibility seemed to disappear, so did she. At 2 a.m., I gave up on sleep and opened my laptop, started watching film of myself from this season, the good games, the moments where I'd played with confidence and skill, the defensive stops, the clutch free throws, the hockey assists that didn't show up in the stat sheet but won games. Coach Rivera was right. I'd earned that contract. Earned it before the injury. The Suns didn't extend me out of pity. They extended me because I'd proven I could contribute to winning basketball. I needed to remember that. Needed to hold on to it when the doubts crept in. Sarah Mitchell arrived at the training facility at noon the next day. She was taller than I expected, maybe 5'10", with kind eyes and a firm handshake. She dressed professionally but not formally, jeans and a blazer, recording equipment in a simple backpack. Marcus, thanks for doing this. I know this timing isn't ideal. If I wait for ideal timing, I'll never do it. She smiled at that. Fair point. So here's how I work. I'm recording our conversation, but everything is on the record unless you specifically tell me otherwise. If you say something you regret, we can delete it and move on. This isn't gotcha journalism. This is your story, told in your words. I'm just here to help shape it. I appreciate that. We sat in one of the film rooms, just the two of us, and she pulled out her recorder and notepad. Let's start at the beginning. Take me back to when you first fell in love with basketball. For the next 2 hours, I talked, really talked, about growing up in Chinatown, the son of Chinese immigrants who worked 80-hour weeks just to keep food on the table. About my dad dying when I was 12 and how basketball became my escape from grief. About the crooked hoop behind my mom's laundromat where I'd shoot until my fingers bled. About being too small, too slow, too Asian to get recruited by major colleges. About walking onto the team at UC Riverside and earning a scholarship through pure work ethic. About going undrafted and spending 3 years bouncing between G League teams, making $35,000 a year, wondering if the dream was worth the sacrifice. About finally getting signed by the Suns on a 10-day contract that turned into a 2-way deal that turned into a roster spot. About earning Coach Rivera's trust. About the playoff opportunity that ended with my knee exploding on national television. Sarah listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or making notes, but mostly just letting me talk. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. That's an incredible journey. And the contract extension, coming right before the injury, that had to feel like validation after all those years of doubt. It did. It still does. But it also came with this weird guilt. Like I didn't deserve it because I got hurt. Like the team made a mistake. Do you really believe that? I'm trying not to. But it's hard not to wonder if I'll ever be the same player I was before. From a basketball perspective or from a personal perspective? Both. She leaned forward slightly. Can we talk about your wife? I know that's painful, but it's part of the story. The timing of everything that happened. I took a breath. We can talk about it, but I'm not going to trash her. That's not who I am. I respect that. Just tell me what happened from your perspective. So I did. I told her about lying in the hospital bed, about Vanessa showing up 8 hours after my surgery to tell me she was leaving, about finding out she'd already moved on with her personal trainer, about the Instagram post that went viral and turned my personal pain into public spectacle. But I also told her the truth I'd been avoiding, that the marriage had been dying for a long time, that I'd been so focused on making it in the NBA that I'd ignored the signs that Vanessa wasn't happy, that maybe I'd married the wrong person for the wrong reasons, trying to prove something to myself about being worthy of love. It sounds like you're taking some responsibility for the relationship failing, Sarah said carefully. I have to. It's easy to make her the villain in this story, but I wasn't a perfect husband. I was gone a lot. I was stressed a lot. I put basketball first. Maybe if I'd paid more attention, we could have ended things differently, with less hurt. Even with all that, she left you at a pretty vulnerable moment. She did. And I'm not going to lie and say that doesn't hurt. That doesn't feel like betrayal. But I also think she was just being honest. Maybe for the first time. She wanted security and stability, and she didn't think I could give her that. She was wrong about my future, but she wasn't wrong about what she wanted. That's a very mature perspective. I'm trying. Some days are easier than others. We talked for another hour, circling back to basketball, to my recovery timeline, to my goals for next season. Sarah asked smart questions, pushing me to be specific about what success looked like. Not just making it back to the court, but being better than I was before the injury. You keep saying you want to come back stronger. What does that mean practically? It means I need to improve the parts of my game that don't rely on explosiveness. My knee might never be 100% again, so I need to be smarter, better shooter, better decision maker, better leader. I can't just be the same player. I have to evolve. And personally, what does coming back stronger mean in your life outside basketball? That's harder. I think it means learning to value myself the way I should, not basing my worth on what I can do for other people or whether someone else validates me. My mom taught me that, but I forgot somewhere along the way. This injury, this divorce, it's forcing me to remember. After Sarah left, I felt drained, but also lighter somehow. Like I'd been carrying this weight and finally set it down. Telling my story, owning my part in it, acknowledging the pain without letting it define me, that felt like progress. MT was waiting for me in the therapy room. How'd the interview go? Good, I think. We'll see when it comes out. Cool. Now get your ass on this table. We got work to do. The weeks blurred together after that. Wake up at 6 a.m., ice and elevation, drive to the facility, 3 hours of physical therapy, lunch, 2 hours of film study with Coach Rivera and the assistant coaches, staying sharp mentally even though my body couldn't practice, another hour of upper body strength training to maintain conditioning, drive home, ice and elevation, sleep, repeat. JT and Maya made sure I didn't isolate. They'd show up with dinner at least twice a week, forcing me to socialize and stay connected to the team even though I couldn't be on the court with them. The Suns went on a winning streak without me. 8 games, 10 games, 12 games. They clinched the playoff series I'd gotten hurt in, advancing to the Western Conference Finals. Part of me was thrilled for them. Part of me felt irrelevant, like proof that they didn't actually need me. Coach Rivera caught me watching film alone in the facility late one night, studying the games I'd missed. Can't sleep? Knee hurts. Figured I'd do something productive. He sat down next to me, still wearing his suit from that night's game. We won tonight, but we missed you. Your defense, your energy, the way you move without the ball. Stats don't capture that stuff, but winning teams feel it. Feels like you're doing fine without me. We're winning games, but we're not playing our best basketball. Teams are exploiting the holes you used to fill. We need you back, Chen. Not just because of the contract, because you make us better. I wanted to believe him, but it was hard to feel valuable when you couldn't contribute. 3 weeks into recovery, I hit the first major milestone, 90 degrees of knee flexion. MT measured it with a goniometer, that satisfied smile on his face. Told you we'd get here. Now the real work starts. What was the last 3 weeks? That was waking up the knee. Now we teach it how to work again. He introduced me to the AlterG treadmill, an anti-gravity device that allowed me to walk and eventually jog while supporting only a percentage of my body weight. The first time I stepped on it, set to 50% body weight, felt like learning to walk again. My gait was awkward. My knee felt unstable. But I was moving under my own power for the first time since the injury. By week 6, I was walking without crutches. Slowly, carefully, but walking. I documented the moment on my phone and sent it to my mom, who called immediately, crying happy tears. My strong boy, I knew you could do it. It's just walking, Mama. I have a long way to go. No, this is everything. This is how you start. Small steps. Just like when you were baby. You fall down, you get up, you keep going. She was right. Every small victory mattered. Every degree of flexion. Every pound of pressure I could tolerate. Every exercise I could complete that I couldn't do the week before. Sarah's article came out in The Athletic 8 weeks after our interview. JT sent me the link at 7 a.m. with 3 fire emojis. Bro, you killed this. She told your story right. The headline read, Marcus Chen is broken but not done. Inside the Suns guards fight back from injury and heartbreak. I read it sitting at my kitchen table with my morning coffee, my knee elevated on a chair, my hands trembling slightly. Sarah had captured everything. The journey from Chinatown to the NBA, the years of grinding in obscurity, the injury, the divorce. But she'd also captured the hope, the determination, the refusal to let circumstances define me. She'd included quotes from Coach Rivera calling me the heart of the team's culture, from JT talking about my work ethic and character, from MT describing my progress in rehab as ahead of schedule and inspiring, and she'd let me own my truth, my quotes about taking responsibility for the marriage ending, about learning to value myself, about the difference between being broken and being done. The reaction was immediate and overwhelmingly positive. Players around the league retweeting it with supportive messages, fans commenting about my resilience, even some of the people who'd mocked me after the divorce drama, now expressing respect for how I'd handled everything. But the message that meant the most came from my mom. I read the article. I cry so much. I'm so proud to be your mother. You are exactly like your father. Strong heart, never quit. I love you, my baby. I called her immediately. Thank you for everything, Mama. I wouldn't be here without you. You here because of you. Because you work hard. Because you never give up on your dream. I just love you. That's easy. We talked for an hour, her asking about every detail of my recovery, me assuring her I was eating well and taking care of myself. When we hung up, I felt grounded in a way I hadn't since before the injury. This was why I played. Not for the money, though, that was nice. Not for the fame or validation or to prove anything to Vanessa. I played because my father died working himself to death at a restaurant job he hated, so I could have opportunities he never had. I played because my mom spent 30 years washing other people's laundry, so I could chase a dream that seemed impossible. I played because basketball was the language I spoke when words failed me, the place where I made sense, and I was going to get back to it, no matter how long it took, no matter how much it hurt. By week 10, I was jogging on the AlterG at 75% body weight. By week 12, I was doing single-leg exercises and light plyometrics. By week 16, 4 months after the surgery, I was cleared to shoot from a stationary position. The first time I held a basketball again, really held it, feeling the texture of the leather against my palms, I almost cried. It felt like coming home, like reconnecting with a part of myself that had been missing. I took a shot from 15 feet. It clanged off the front rim. I shot again. Airball. Third time. Swish. MT watched from the sideline. Feel good? Feels like life. Over the next month, I lived in the gym. shooting thousands of shots a day, rebuilding muscle memory, expanding my range. If my knee was going to limit my explosiveness, my shooting had to be perfect. Automatic. Deadly. Coach Rivera started coming to watch my solo workouts. He'd sit in the stands with his coffee and newspaper, not saying much, just observing. After a while, he'd come down and rebound for me, feeding me passes, talking me through footwork and shot mechanics. "You're becoming a different player," he said one morning after I'd made 18 straight three-pointers from the corner. "More complete, less reliant on athleticism. That's good. That's going to make you dangerous. Think I can be ready by training camp?" He studied me for a long moment. "I think you can be ready for whatever you decide to be ready for. Your body is healing, but the question is whether your mind is ready, whether you trust yourself again. That's the real recovery." He was right. The knee was getting stronger every day, but there was still this fear living inside me. Fear that I'd re-injure it. Fear that I'd never be as good as I was before. Fear that the Suns had made a mistake believing in me. 6 months after the surgery, I was cleared for full contact practice. The training staff had monitored every step of my recovery, cautious but encouraged by my progress. I'd exceeded every benchmark they'd set. The team was in the middle of training camp, preparing for the new season. I'd been working out alone, separate from the team for so long that walking into a full practice felt surreal. The guys mobbed me when I entered the gym. JT picked me up in a bear hug. The rookies who'd never actually played with me introduced themselves. Even the veterans who'd been skeptical about my contract showed respect. Coach Rivera blew his whistle. All right. Chen's back. He's on a minutes restriction and contact limitation for now, but he's here. Let's get to work." That first practice was humbling. I was slower than I remembered. My timing was off, my conditioning wasn't there yet, but I was playing basketball, real basketball, with teammates, in competition, and it felt like resurrection. After practice, Coach pulled me aside. "How do you feel? Tired? Slow? But good. Really good. You looked good out there. Rusty, but good. We're going to bring you along slowly. Maybe 10 minutes a game to start. See how the knee responds. By January, February, if everything goes well, you could be back in the rotation full-time. I appreciate the patience. This isn't patience. This is investment. We invested in you because we believe in what you can become. Now go prove we were right." The regular season started without me in the rotation. I watched from the bench in street clothes for the first month, still building strength and conditioning, practicing with the team but not cleared for game action yet. It was torture watching my teammates struggle without enough depth at my position, watching opposing guards exploit the weaknesses I used to cover, wanting to help but being forced to wait. Vanessa tried to reach out twice during this period, once through a mutual friend asking how I was doing, once through her lawyer trying to negotiate divorce terms that included a larger settlement now that the full value of my contract was guaranteed. I ignored the first. My lawyer handled the second. I'd already decided I wasn't going to fight her on the divorce. She could have her settlement. I just wanted it done. Wanted her out of my life permanently so I could move forward. The divorce was finalized in November. 3 years of marriage ended with signatures on paperwork and a check to her lawyer. No drama, no final confrontation, just an ending that felt more like relief than loss. JT took me out that night to celebrate my freedom. "How do you feel?" "Lighter. Like I can finally breathe." "Good. Now you can focus on what matters. Basketball. Your future. Building the life you actually want instead of the one you thought you wanted." We toasted to that, to new beginnings, to lessons learned the hard way, to the person I was becoming instead of the person I'd been. In December, 7 months after the injury, I was finally cleared for game action. Coach Rivera pulled me into his office the day before my first game back. "You ready?" "More than ready." "Good, because I'm starting you." I stared at him. "Starting?" I thought I'd be coming off the bench. "You've earned a starting spot. You've worked harder than anyone I've ever coached to get back from injury. Your teammates see it. I see it. It's time." That night, I called my mom. "Mama, I'm starting tomorrow. First game back." She screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. Then she cried. Then she told me she was closing the laundromat early to watch the game. Then she cried some more. "Your father is watching from heaven. He's so proud. I'm so proud. I love you, Mama. I love you more. Now go show them who you are." The next night, standing in the tunnel before player introductions, my knee wrapped and braced, my heart pounding, I thought about everything that had led to this moment. The injury, the betrayal, the contract, the grind of recovery, the loneliness, the doubt, the fear, the work. All of it had brought me here, back to the court, back to myself. The announcer called my name. At shooting guard, number 22, Marcus Chen. I ran onto the court to roaring applause, the lights bright and hot, my teammates surrounding me, and I felt whole for the first time in 7 months. This was who I was. This was where I belonged. And I was just getting started. The first game back was against the Lakers at home. Ironic, considering they were the team I'd been playing against when I got injured. Some of their players remembered. Before tip-off, LeBron James walked over and dapped me up. Respect for coming back, young fella. That's warrior mentality. Coming from him, that meant everything. The game started, and my body remembered what my mind had been afraid it forgot. The movements, the timing, the rhythm of 5 guys moving as one. My first possession, I set a screen for JT, rolled to the basket, caught his pass, and finished with a reverse layup. The crowd erupted. My teammates mobbed me. Coach Rivera just nodded from the sideline, that slight smile that meant he'd expected nothing less. I played 23 minutes that night, scored 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Nothing spectacular, but solid, efficient. More importantly, the knee held up. No pain, no instability, just basketball. After the game, reporters surrounded my locker. They asked about the injury, the recovery, how it felt to be back. I gave them the standard answers. Grateful. Blessed. Couldn't have done it without my team and the medical staff. But one reporter, a young woman I didn't recognize, asked a different question. Marcus, your ex-wife Vanessa just got engaged to Derek Morrison. They posted about it on Instagram tonight. Any comment? The locker room went quiet. JT shot me a look from across the room. Coach Rivera, who'd been doing his own interview, stopped talking. I took a breath. I wish them both happiness. I'm focused on this season and helping my team win games. That's all I have to say about my personal life. Professional, classy. Exactly what David, my agent, had coached me to say if this came up. But inside, I felt nothing. Not anger, not hurt, not even satisfaction that she'd moved on so completely. Just emptiness where she used to live in my thoughts. After the reporters left, JT came over. You good? I'm good. I meant what I said. I hope she's happy. I genuinely do. That's growth, bro. Real growth. He was right. 3 months ago, that news would have wrecked me, would have sent me spiraling into anger and bitterness. But somewhere in the grind of recovery, I'd let go. Not because I was trying to be noble or take the high road, simply because holding on to that pain was exhausting and it wasn't serving me anymore. Vanessa had made her choice. She'd chosen security and status and a man who could give her the life she wanted. Good for her. I'd chosen basketball and growth and becoming someone I could respect. We'd both gotten what we wanted. The season progressed and I found my rhythm. Not the same player I'd been before the injury, but something different. Something better in some ways. I couldn't explode to the rim like I used to, but my shooting was deadly now. My decision-making was sharper. My defensive positioning was smarter, compensating for the half-step of quickness I'd lost. By January, I was averaging 14 points and 4 assists per game, starting alongside JT in the backcourt. The Suns were 3rd in the Western Conference, playing our best basketball in years. That's when I got the message that changed everything. It came through Instagram DM from an account I didn't recognize. The profile picture was a sunset over a beach. No posts, no followers. Clearly a burner account. Marcus, you don't know me, but I know you. My name is Rebecca Morrison. I'm Derek's ex-wife, the one he left for Vanessa. I think we should talk. There are things you need to know about what really happened. I stared at that message for a long time. Every instinct told me to delete it, to not look back, to keep moving forward and leave that whole mess in the past. But curiosity won. I responded, I'm listening. Her reply came 30 minutes later. Can we meet in person? I don't want to do this over text. There's a coffee shop in Scottsdale, the Daily Press, tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll be wearing a blue scarf. Please come. You deserve to know the truth. I should have said no. Should have blocked her and forgotten the whole thing. But something in her message felt urgent. Honest, like she was carrying a weight and needed to share it. I told JT about it that night at his house. He and Maya were hosting a team dinner, and I pulled him aside in his massive kitchen while the other guys played pool in the game room. Man, that sounds like drama you don't need, he said, slicing vegetables for the salad. You're in a good place right now. Why mess with it? I know, but what if there's something I should know? Something that helps me understand what happened? Does it matter anymore? You're done with Vanessa. She's engaged to someone else. You're moving on. Why reopen that wound? Maya overheard us from across the kitchen. Maybe he needs closure. Maybe this woman has information that helps him make sense of things. Sometimes knowing the whole truth, even if it's painful, is better than wondering forever. JT looked at his wife with admiration. This is why I married you. You're smarter than me. She kissed his cheek. I know, baby. So I went. The next day at 2 p.m., I walked into the Daily Press wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses, trying to stay incognito. Phoenix was a basketball city, and I'd become recognizable enough that going out in public sometimes meant getting stopped for photos and autographs. Rebecca was sitting in the corner booth exactly as she'd said, wearing a blue scarf. She was in her mid-30s, pretty in an understated way, with tired eyes that had seen too much. I slid into the booth across from her. Marcus, thank you for coming. I know this is weird. Little bit, but I'm here. So talk. She took a sip of her coffee, gathering herself. I was married to Derek for 8 years. We met in college. I helped him build his business from nothing. Those 3 gyms he owns? I designed the business plan. I managed the finances. I was there for every late night and every early morning. We were partners, okay? 2 years ago, Vanessa joined one of his gyms. She was married to you. Derek knew who you were, followed the Suns. He told me he was training her, helping her get in shape. I didn't think anything of it at first. I felt my jaw tighten, but then he started staying late, taking client meetings that I wasn't invited to, being secretive with his phone, all the classic signs. I confronted him last spring. He admitted he'd developed feelings for someone but swore nothing physical had happened. He said he needed space to figure things out. I filed for divorce in June. He moved out in July. By August, he was publicly with Vanessa. My mind was working through the timeline. June. That was 2 months before my injury. Before Vanessa left me. Rebecca continued. After our divorce was finalized, I stayed in touch with some of the gym staff, people who'd worked for us for years. They told me things. About how Derek and Vanessa had been obviously involved for months before he left me. About private training sessions that lasted hours. About them being seen together at hotels. She pulled out her phone and showed me photos. Derek and Vanessa at a restaurant in June. At a resort in Sedona in July. In the parking lot of one of his gyms late at night, getting into his car together. I felt sick. They were together the whole time. While you were fighting to make the team. While I was trying to save my marriage. They were planning their future together. Why are you telling me this? She looked me straight in the eye. Because when I saw what happened to you, how she left you in the hospital thinking you had nothing, I realized you were another victim of their selfishness. And when I saw how Derek spun the narrative, making it seem like they fell in love after both your marriages ended, I couldn't stay silent anymore. What do you want from me? Nothing. I just wanted you to know the truth. That you weren't crazy for feeling betrayed. That your instincts about her were right. And that the man she's about to marry is a liar and a cheat who destroyed 2 marriages for his own ego. I sat back in the booth, processing everything. Does Vanessa know you contacted me? No. And I don't care if you tell her. I'm done protecting Derek's reputation. I'm done letting him play the good guy while people like you and me get to be the failed marriages in his love story. We talked for another hour. Rebecca told me more. About how Derek had convinced Vanessa that I wasn't going to make it in the NBA. That I was a long shot who'd end up broke and bitter. That she deserved better. About how he'd positioned himself as the stable, successful alternative. About how Vanessa had called Rebecca after my contract news broke, trying to explain herself, saying she'd made a mistake but it was too late to fix it now. She regrets leaving you, Rebecca said quietly. Or at least regrets the timing. Derek told me she's been distant since the engagement, having doubts, but she's too proud to admit she was wrong. That should have made me feel something. Vindicated, satisfied, something. Instead, I just felt sad. Sad for everyone involved, for the time wasted, for the pain caused, for the way people hurt each other in the name of love or ambition or fear. Thank you for telling me this, I said finally. I mean it. It helps to know I wasn't paranoid, that what I felt was real. You're a good man, Marcus. The way you've handled everything, the interview you did, the way you talk about her publicly. You didn't have to be that gracious. Being bitter wouldn't have helped me heal. It would have just kept me stuck. She smiled sadly. I wish I had your maturity. I'm still angry, still hurt. Maybe someday I'll get to where you are. You will. It just takes time, and a lot of physical therapy. She laughed at that. We exchanged numbers before we left. Not in a romantic way. Just 2 people who'd been collateral damage in someone else's story, finding a strange kinship in shared experience. That night, I sat in my condo and thought about what to do with the information Rebecca had given me. I could leak it to the media, could expose Derek and Vanessa for who they really were, could destroy the perfect image they'd cultivated on social media. But what would that accomplish? It wouldn't change the past, wouldn't heal my hurt or Rebecca's, would just create more mess, more drama, more noise. I called my mom instead. Mama, can I ask you something? Of course, baby. What's wrong? How did you forgive Dad's family after they treated you badly when he died? My father's family had blamed my mom for his death, said she'd worked him too hard, made his life too stressful. They'd tried to take me away from her, claiming she couldn't raise me alone. It had been ugly and painful and had ended with her cutting them off completely. I didn't forgive them for them. I forgive them for me. Holding anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I had you to raise. I didn't have time for poison. That's what I thought. Just needed to hear you say it. Someone hurt you again? Not recently. I just learned more about how I was hurt before, and I have to decide what to do about it. You do what helps you move forward, not what feels good for revenge. Revenge is fast. Healing is slow. You choose slow. She was right. She was always right. I deleted the photos Rebecca had sent me. Didn't need them. Didn't want them. The truth was enough. I knew what had happened. I knew I hadn't been wrong to feel betrayed. That was sufficient. The season continued. February came and the All-Star break arrived. I wasn't selected for the game, but I was named to the Rising Stars game, an honor for young players showing promise. It felt good to be recognized, especially given how close I'd come to losing everything. During All-Star Weekend, I did a panel discussion about overcoming adversity in sports. Sarah Mitchell moderated. She'd followed up on her original article with a piece about my comeback that had been even more widely read. After the panel, she pulled me aside. How are you doing? Really doing. Better than I expected to be 8 months ago. I read about Vanessa's engagement. That had to be difficult. It was at first, but I'm okay with it now. We wanted different things. She found someone who could give her what she wanted. Good for her. You really mean that, don't you? You're not just saying it for the cameras. I really mean it. Holding on to anger was exhausting. Letting go was liberating. She studied me for a moment. You know what? I think you're going to be okay. More than okay. I think this whole experience is going to make you into something special. I hope so. That's the goal anyway. Can I ask you something personal? Sure. Are you dating anyone? Seeing anyone? No. Not ready for that yet. Still figuring out who I am without basketball being my whole identity. Don't want to drag someone else into my mess until I have my life together. Smart. But don't wait too long. You deserve happiness, Marcus. You deserve someone who sees your value even when you're at your lowest. Working on believing that. The Suns made a push in March and April, fighting for playoff positioning. I was averaging 16 points a game now, shooting 40% from three, playing my best basketball. The knee felt strong. The confidence was back. We clinched a playoff spot in early April with a win over the Clippers. The locker room was jubilant, champagne and music and pure joy. JT pulled me aside in the chaos. You did it, bro. Made it back. Proved everyone wrong. We did it. Couldn't have gotten here without you. Nah, man. This is your story. Your journey. We were just lucky to be part of it. That night, scrolling through social media in bed, I saw a post from Vanessa's account. It was a photo of her and Derek at some charity gala, both dressed in formal wear, smiling for the camera. The caption read, "Grateful for this life and this man." Sometimes the hardest endings lead to the most beautiful beginnings. 300 comments below it. Most congratulatory. Some snarky. A few mentioning me and the timing of everything. I looked at that photo for a long time. Tried to feel something. Anything. Anger. Jealousy. Regret. But all I felt was distance. Like I was looking at strangers. People I used to know in another life. I unliked and unfollowed her account. Not out of spite. Just out of recognition that I didn't need that window into her world anymore. Didn't need to know if she was happy or struggling or having doubts. She'd made her choice. I'd made mine, and our paths had diverged completely. The first round of the playoffs matched us against the Mavericks, Luka Doncic and company. A tough draw, but we were confident. Game 1 was in Phoenix. I scored 21 points, hit 5 threes, played shutdown defense. We won by 15. The arena was electric. The city was alive with playoff energy. After the game, my phone lit up with messages. Teammates, coaches, friends, and one from Rebecca. Watching you play tonight. You look free out there. Like you found yourself again. Happy for you. I smiled and responded, thanks. Hope you're finding yourself too. Getting there, one day at a time. The series went 7 games. It was war, physical, emotional. Every possession mattered. In Game 7, tied at 110 with 20 seconds left, Coach Rivera drew up the final play. Chen, you're taking the shot. My heart hammered in my chest. This was the moment. Everything I'd worked for coming down to one possession. JT, inbounded to me at the top of the key. I drove right, spun left, created just enough space from my defender, and pulled up from 23 feet. The ball felt perfect leaving my hands. Good rotation. Good arc. I knew before it left my fingertips. Swish. 113-110 Suns. 12 seconds left. The arena exploded. My teammates buried me under a pile of bodies. The crowd was deafening. We won. Advanced to the second round. And I'd hit the biggest shot of my career on the same knee that had been surgically reconstructed 9 months ago. In the locker room after, Coach Rivera pulled me aside. That's what I saw in you when we extended your contract. That's what I knew you could become. Clutch. Fearless. A player who rises in the biggest moments. Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. That's what coaches do for players who deserve it. That night, alone in my condo, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and looked at myself. Really looked. The person staring back was different from the one who'd been lying in that hospital bed 9 months ago. Stronger. Wiser. More whole. I'd lost a wife. Lost 7 months of my career. Lost part of my physical ability. But I'd found something more valuable. Self-respect. Inner strength. The knowledge that I could be knocked down and get back up. That I didn't need external validation to know my worth. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Congratulations on the game winner. You always had it in you. I'm sorry I couldn't see it. I'm sorry for everything. It was Vanessa. I knew without her saying. The tone, the timing, the guilt bleeding through the words. I stared at that message for a full minute. Then I deleted it without responding. Not out of cruelty. Not out of revenge. Simply because there was nothing left to say. She'd made her choices. I'd made mine. And I'd learned that closure doesn't come from other people. It comes from within. It comes from forgiving yourself for loving someone who didn't deserve it. For ignoring red flags because you wanted to believe in something that wasn't real. For tying your worth to someone else's validation. I'd forgiven myself for all of it. And in doing so, I'd freed myself completely. Vanessa was my past. Basketball was my present. And the future? The future was mine to write. No one else's, just mine. And I had every intention of making it beautiful. The Western Conference semifinals brought us against the Denver Nuggets, the defending champions, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, a team built to dominate. The analysts gave us a 20% chance to win the series. They said we were overachieving, that our run would end here. They were wrong about a lot of things. Game 1 in Denver, I came out aggressive. 17 points in the first half. We won by 12. After the game, Jokic found me at half court. You play different now. More confident. I like it. Coming from the MVP, that was high praise. The series went 6 games. We won in Denver in Game 6, advancing to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in a decade. The city of Phoenix went crazy. The airport when we landed was packed with fans. The streets near the arena were blocked with celebrating crowds. We were 4 wins away from the NBA Finals. Our opponent was the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, championship pedigree. Everything we weren't. But we had something they didn't expect. We had hunger. We had belief. And we had a team that had been counted out and discarded so many times that we had nothing left to lose. The conference finals started in Golden State. Game 1 was a statement. We played perfect basketball for 48 minutes. Ball movement. Defensive intensity. Clutch shooting. I scored 24 points. JT had 18 assists, and we won by 17. The Bay Area media was shocked. The Warriors looked old and tired. We looked young and dangerous. Game 2 was closer, back and forth. Lead changes every possession. With 3 minutes left, tied at 102, I checked back in after a rest. My knee was barking. The fatigue was real. But Coach Rivera looked at me and I nodded. I was good. I could finish. Final minute. Warriors up 3. We needed a stop and a score. I picked up Curry at half court, played him tight, forced him into a contested 3. Miss JT grabbed the rebound and pushed. Outlet pass to me. I drove, drew 2 defenders, kicked to our small forward in the corner. 3-pointer. Good. Tie game. 15 seconds left. Curry brought it up. I knew what was coming. Everyone knew. The pull-up three from 30 feet that he'd hit 1,000 times in his career. I fought through the screen, contested as hard as I could without fouling. He shot. I tipped it just enough. Miss. We won in overtime. Up 2-0 heading back to Phoenix. The city was delirious. Every restaurant had watch parties. Every bar was packed. My face was on billboards and bus stops. The local news ran features about my comeback story. It was overwhelming and surreal and everything I'd dreamed of since I was a kid. But the weirdest part was the text I got the night before Game 3. Marcus, it's Vanessa. I know I don't have the right to reach out, but I've been watching the playoffs. Watching you play. I'm so proud of you. I know that doesn't mean anything now. I know I have no right to be proud, but I wanted you to know that I see you. I see what you've become, and I'm sorry I wasn't there for it. I'm sorry for everything. I showed the text to JT. We were at his house the night before the game, doing our usual pre-game ritual of watching film and eating Maya's homemade pasta. She's really reaching out now, during the conference finals? That's wild. What should I do? Maya, who'd been listening from the kitchen, came into the living room. Do you want to respond? I don't know. Part of me feels like I should. Like it's the mature thing to do. Being mature doesn't mean you have to engage with someone who hurt you. You don't owe her your time or energy, especially not right now. You're in the middle of the biggest series of your life. She had a year to apologize. She chose now because you're successful and visible. That's not about you. That's about her. She was right. Of course she was right. I put my phone away and didn't respond. Game 3 in Phoenix was magical. The arena was rocking from the opening tip. Every possession felt like the building might explode. We jumped out to a 15-point lead in the first quarter and never looked back. I played the best game of my career. 32 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 55% shooting. We won by 23. After the game, during the press conference, a reporter asked about Vanessa's Instagram post from earlier that day. She'd posted a photo of us from our wedding with a caption about regret and lessons learned, and how sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. The timing was calculated. She knew I'd be in this press conference, knew the reporters would ask. I'm not here to talk about my ex-wife. I'm here to talk about basketball. Next question. The room went quiet, then moved on. But the story wouldn't die. Sports gossip sites picked it up. Social media exploded with opinions. Some people said I should forgive her. Others said she was manipulative. Everyone had a take. I ignored all of it and focused on Game 4. We lost that one. The Warriors adjusted, got physical. The refs let them play. We couldn't find our rhythm, but we still had a 3-1 series lead. One more win and we were going to the finals. Game 5 back in Golden State was brutal. They came out desperate, hit everything. We couldn't buy a bucket. By the fourth quarter, we were down 20. Coach Rivera called timeout with 8 minutes left. All right, this one's over. But we're going home for Game 6 with a chance to close this out in front of our fans. That's all that matters. Finish this game with pride and get ready to win a championship at home. We lost by 18. The series was 3-2. The media narrative shifted. The Warriors had figured us out. They had the experience. They'd been here before. All the doubt I'd fought against all season came flooding back. Not about my knee, but about whether I belonged in this moment, whether I was good enough to help win a championship. The night before Game 6, I couldn't sleep. I sat on my balcony overlooking Phoenix at 3 a.m., the city lights stretching to the horizon, thinking about everything that had brought me here. My phone rang. It was my mom. She never called this late. Mama, what's wrong? Are you okay? I'm fine, baby, I just can't sleep. Too excited for your game tomorrow. You should be sleeping. It's 3 in the morning in San Francisco. I know, but I keep thinking about your father, about how much he would love to see this. His son, 4 wins away from NBA championship. He would cry with happiness. I'm scared, Mama. Scared I'm going to let everyone down. She was quiet for a moment. You know what your father used to say? He'd say, fear is just love hiding. When you afraid to fail, it's because you love something so much. The basketball, the team, your dream. That fear means you care. That's a good thing. But what if I'm not good enough? What if tomorrow we lose and it's my fault? Then you lose, and you wake up next day and you try again. But Marcus, you already won. You came back from injury everyone say would end your career. You proved everyone wrong. You made people who didn't believe in you look foolish. Tomorrow is just basketball game. You already did the hard part. You already survived. Tears were running down my face. I love you, Mama. I love you more. Now go to sleep. Big day tomorrow. Make me proud. You always say that, but I already know I make you proud. That's right. So tomorrow, make yourself proud. Game 6, Phoenix Suns Arena, sold out. The loudest I'd ever heard a building. The Warriors came out fighting. They knew this was their season on the line. Curry was brilliant. Clay was hitting shots. By halftime, they were up 7. In the locker room, Coach Rivera didn't yell, didn't panic, just talked strategy and belief. We're 24 minutes away from the NBA Finals. 24 minutes away from something this franchise has never accomplished. I know you're tired. I know they're hitting tough shots. But this is what we've worked for all season. This is why we extended Marcus when he was injured. Why we believed in this group when nobody else did. Because we knew this moment would come. Now let's go take it. Third quarter, we found our rhythm. JT got hot. I started hitting threes. Our defense locked in. We cut the lead to 2 going into the fourth. Final quarter, back and forth. Every possession was a battle. With 2 minutes left, we were down 1. Timeout. Coach drew up a play for me. High pick and roll, attack, make a play. Out of the timeout, JT set the screen. I drove left. 2 defenders collapsed. I kicked it back to JT open 3. He drained it. Suns up 2. Curry answered with a 3 of his own. Warriors up 1. 30 seconds left. Our ball. Same play. This time, when they doubled, I kept it. Split the defenders. Got to the rim. Floater over a 7-footer. Good. Suns up 1. 12 seconds left. Warriors ball. Everyone in the building knew Curry was taking the last shot. He came off 3 screens. I fought through everyone. He had just enough space at the top of the key. Let it fly from 28 feet. I closed out hard. Hand in his face. Perfect defense. The ball hit the front rim. Bounced up. Hit the back rim. Bounced again. Fell off. JT grabbed the rebound. Got fouled. Made both free throws. We won. 106-103. We were going to the NBA Finals. The celebration was chaos. Pure, unfiltered joy. Players crying. Coaches hugging. Fans storming onto the court before security could stop them. I found JT in the madness and we just held each other, both of us sobbing, unable to speak. Coach Rivera found me next, grabbed my face with both hands. I told you that you had this in you. 4 wins away, Chen. 4 wins away from being a champion. The finals matchup was set. Phoenix Suns versus Boston Celtics. East versus West. The series would start in Boston in 5 days. That night, after all the interviews and celebrations, I sat alone in the empty arena. The lights were dimmed. The court was quiet. I just wanted to remember this feeling, this moment of pure accomplishment. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca, Derek's ex-wife. Congratulations. You deserve all of this and more. Watching you succeed after everything is the best revenge. I smiled and responded. It's not revenge. It's just life, finally going right. The days before Game 1 were a blur. Media obligations, practice, film study. The whole country was talking about this finals matchup. The underdog Suns, the veteran Celtics. My comeback story was a major narrative. Sarah Mitchell did a feature for The Athletic that went viral. From hospital bed to NBA Finals, Marcus Chen's year of redemption. It was beautiful, honest. It captured everything without being exploitative. She called me the day it was published. Thank you for trusting me with your story. Thank you for telling it right. For seeing me as more than just the drama. You are more. You always were. I just helped people see it. The night before Game 1, I got a FaceTime call from my mom. She was at the laundromat with about 30 people from the neighborhood crammed into the back room. They were all wearing Suns jerseys with my number. They were all screaming and crying and so happy. Marcus! Marcus! We all so proud. Tomorrow we close the shop. Everyone going to my apartment to watch the game. We have big party! Mama, you don't have to close the shop. Yes, I do. This is history. My son in NBA Finals. Your father would close the shop too. I talked to everyone in that room. Old ladies who used to give me dumplings when I was a kid. The guy who owned the grocery store. My high school coach. All these people who'd known me before any of this. Who'd seen me shooting on that crooked hoop. Who'd believed in me when I was nobody. That's who I was playing for. Not for revenge against Vanessa. Not to prove anything to doubters. For them. For my community. For everyone who'd invested in me when I had nothing to offer back. Game 1 in Boston was hostile. Their fans were legendary. They let us know we weren't welcome from the moment we stepped on the court. The Celtics were good. Really good. Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown. A defensive system that had shut down every team they'd faced. We lost game 1 by 11. I played okay, 15 points, but I was tight, nervous. The moment felt too big. After the game, coach pulled me aside. You're thinking too much. Just play basketball, the way you know how. That's enough. Game 2, I loosened up. 23 points, we won by 7. Series tied 1-1 heading back to Phoenix. The next 3 games were at home, the opportunity to take control of the series. Game 3 was a masterpiece, both teams shooting over 50%, perfect execution on both ends. It came down to the final possession, tied at 118. Coach called timeout, drew up a play for JT, but everyone knew I was taking the shot. That's how these things work. Out of the timeout, JT had the ball. I came off a double screen, caught it at the 3-point line. One defender closing hard, I shot faked. He flew by. One dribble. Pull up from 18 feet, swish. Suns win 120-118, up 2-1 in the series. Game 4, the Celtics adjusted. They blitzed our pick and rolls, forced other guys to beat them. Our role players came through. We won by 15, 3-1, 3 wins, 1 game away. That night, Vanessa called. Not texted. Called. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. Marcus, I know you won't answer. I know you probably deleted my other messages, but I need to say this. I was wrong. About everything. About you. About what matters. About what I wanted. I see that now. Watching you in the finals, seeing what you've become, I realize I gave up the best thing in my life because I was shallow and scared and stupid. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know that you deserved better than how I treated you. You always did. I listened to it once, then deleted it, not out of cruelty, but because those words didn't mean anything anymore. She wasn't part of my story now. She was a chapter that had ended, a lesson learned, nothing more. Game 5 in Phoenix was for the championship. The arena was packed 3 hours before tip-off. The energy was electric and nervous and hopeful all at once. In the locker room before the game, Coach Rivera gathered us. Gentlemen, tonight is about legacy, about writing your names in history, about proving that hard work and belief can overcome anything. Marcus Chen was supposed to be done. Career over. He's starting in the NBA Finals. This team was supposed to be a first-round exit. We're 1 win from a championship. Nothing is impossible if you refuse to accept limitations. Now let's go win this thing. We stormed out of that locker room like warriors going into battle. The game was everything you'd want a championship clincher to be. Physical, competitive. Every possession mattered. The Celtics wouldn't go away. Every time we'd push the lead to 7 or 8, they'd cut it back to 3. Fourth quarter, 5 minutes left, tied at 97. I checked back in after a rest. My knee was screaming. I'd played 38 minutes already, but I wasn't coming out. Not now. JT found me on a backdoor cut. Layup, 99-97 Suns. Tatum answered with a 3, 199 Celtics. I hit a 3 from the corner, 102-100 Suns. Brown drove and scored, 102-102. 2 minutes left. JT called my number. Isolation. Let me work. I took my defender one-on-one, drove right, spin move, fade away from 12 feet. Good. 104-102. 90 seconds left. The Celtics missed. We got the rebound. Timeout. 1 minute, 12 seconds. Coach drew up a play to kill clock and get a good shot. We executed perfectly. JT drove. Kicked to me in the corner. Wide open 3. I hesitated for a split second. This was the moment. Make this and we're up 5 with 40 seconds left. Championship all but guaranteed. I thought about my dad, about my mom, about the hospital bed, about Vanessa leaving, about every person who'd said I wasn't good enough. I shot the ball. Perfect rotation. Perfect arc. Swish. 107-102. 41 seconds left. The arena erupted. The Celtics called timeout. But we knew. Everyone knew. They scored. Made it 107-104. 28 seconds left. We inbounded. Got fouled. JT made both. 109-104. 22 seconds left. They scored again. Quick 2. 109-106. 18 seconds. We inbounded to me this time. They fouled immediately. I went to the line for 2 free throws. Championship on the line. First free throw. The building went silent. I bounced the ball 3 times. My routine. Shot it. Good. 110-106. Second free throw. Same routine. Good. 111-106. 14 seconds left. The Celtics raced down and hit a three. 111, 109, 9 seconds. One more inbound. One more possession. Just don't turn it over. JT got the ball. They fouled him. 4 seconds left. He made both. 113, 109. Game over. We were NBA champions. I fell to my knees at half court. JT was on top of me. Then the whole team. Coach Rivera, the staff, everyone. I was crying, sobbing. Years of pain and doubt and fear all pouring out in that moment. We'd done it. Against every odd. Against every prediction. We'd won. The celebration was surreal. The trophy presentation. The confetti. The champagne. My mom on FaceTime crying so hard she couldn't speak. The whole city of Phoenix celebrating in the streets. In the locker room, JT found me sitting alone in my locker, just staring at my championship hat and shirt. You good, bro? Yeah, just trying to process. We really did this. You really did this. This was your story, your journey. We just gotta be part of it. Couldn't have done it without you. You know that. I know. But you were the heart, the soul, the proof that loyalty and work ethic and believing in yourself matters. Coach was right to extend you. You earned every dollar. Finals MVP was announced an hour later. The media had speculated it would be JT or me. Could have gone either way. They called my name. Marcus Chen, Finals MVP. I walked up to accept the trophy in a daze, shook the commissioner's hand, held the trophy up for the cameras, said something about my team and my mom in Phoenix believing in me. But inside, I was just that kid from Chinatown, the one shooting on a crooked hoop behind a laundromat, the one who dared to dream that maybe, just maybe, he could make it. And somehow, impossibly beautifully, he had. The next few days were chaos. Parade through Phoenix with 1 million people lining the streets. Media appearances, endorsement offers flooding in. My agent calling with opportunities I couldn't have imagined a year ago. But the moment that mattered most came a week later. I flew to San Francisco, showed up at my mom's laundromat unannounced, walked in wearing my championship ring and Finals MVP trophy. She dropped the laundry basket she was holding, started crying immediately. Mama, I bought you something. I handed her an envelope. Inside were keys and a deed. What is this? I bought you a house, in a good neighborhood, with a yard, and a garage. You don't have to work here anymore. You can retire. You earned it. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing. No. I don't need house. I need you to be happy. That's all I ever want. I'm happy, Mama. Happier than I've ever been. And it's because of you. Everything I am is because you never gave up on me. We stood there in that laundromat, the place where so much of my childhood had happened, and cried together. Happy tears, grateful tears, tears of redemption. 2 weeks later, I was back in Phoenix. The off-season had started. I had 3 months before training camp. I was sitting at a coffee shop reading a book, trying to be normal, when someone approached my table. Marcus Chen? I looked up. It was a woman, maybe 30, with warm eyes and an easy smile. I'm sorry to bother you. I just wanted to say congratulations. My daughter watched every game of the finals. She's 10. She plays basketball. Seeing you come back from injury and win a championship, that meant something to her. To a lot of kids like her. Thank you for that. That means more than you know. Tell your daughter to keep working, keep believing. I will. And hey, I don't want to be forward, but I'm a physical therapist. I work with athletes. If you ever need any maintenance work on that knee, here's my card. She handed me a business card. Dr. Jennifer Wu, Sports Medicine and Rehabilitation. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. She smiled and walked away. I looked at the card for a moment, then put it in my wallet. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday I'd be ready. Ready to let someone new into my life. Someone who saw me for who I was now, not who I used to be. Someone who understood that growth comes from pain, and that redemption is earned, not given. That evening, I sat on my balcony watching the sunset over Phoenix. My phone buzzed. A text from JT team dinner next week. Maya's cooking. You coming? Wouldn't miss it. Another text. This one from Coach Rivera. Meeting next month to discuss next season's goals. You interested in being captain? I'd be honored. One more. From Sarah Mitchell. Working on a book about this season. Your comeback. The championship run. You interested in being involved? Let's talk. I put my phone down and just sat there, watching the sky turn orange and pink and purple, feeling the warm Arizona air, listening to the city buzz with life below me. A year ago, I'd been broken, lying in a hospital bed with a torn ACL and a failed marriage, wondering if my life was over. Now I was a champion, Finals MVP, everything I'd ever dreamed of and more. But the real victory wasn't the trophy, wasn't the ring, wasn't the money or the fame or the validation. The real victory was the man I'd become, the lessons I'd learned, the strength I'd found in the darkest moments. I'd learned that loyalty matters, that hard work is never wasted, that the people who believe in you when you have nothing are the only ones worth keeping. I'd learned that love without respect is worthless, that closure comes from within, that forgiveness is something you do for yourself, not for others. I'd learned that setbacks are setups for comebacks, that pain is temporary, but quitting is permanent, that the size of your heart matters more than the size of your talent. Most importantly, I'd learned that I was enough, just as I was, without the trophy, without the contract, without anyone else's validation. Marcus Chen from Chinatown, son of immigrants, undersized shooting guard who wasn't supposed to make it, who got injured at the worst possible time, who got betrayed by the person he trusted most, who was written off and counted out and dismissed. That guy was an NBA champion, Finals MVP, one of the best stories in basketball. But more than that, he was free. Free from the weight of other people's expectations, free from the need to prove anything to anyone, free to just be himself and let that be enough. Vanessa had left me thinking I was nothing. She'd walked away believing she was trading up, moving on to something better. She'd been wrong, not because of the money or the championship or the success. She'd been wrong because she'd never understood what made me valuable in the first place. My character, my heart, my refusal to quit. Those things didn't show up in a bank account or an Instagram post, but they were everything. And now, sitting on my balcony in the golden hour, championship ring on my finger, knee healed, heart whole, I understood something fundamental. This wasn't revenge, wasn't karma, wasn't about her at all. This was redemption, my redemption, earned through sweat and pain and refusing to let circumstances define me. I'd fallen, harder than I ever thought possible, but I'd gotten back up, stronger than before, and that was the only story that mattered. The sun finished setting. The sky went dark. The city lights came on, stretching to infinity. Tomorrow, training would start for next season. New goals, new challenges, new opportunities to prove myself. But tonight, I just sat there, present, grateful, at peace. Marcus Chen, champion, survivor, free. And the best part? This was just the beginning. The real story, the one I'd tell my own kids someday, wasn't about the betrayal or the injury or even the championship. It was about the man who refused to stay down, who transformed his pain into purpose, who learned that the only approval he needed was his own. That was redemption. That was victory. And that, finally, completely, honestly, was enough.